Hello, and thank you for watching. This video will walk you through the key highlights and important information about the upcoming Red River Road rebuild project. My name is Leslie Racco, and I'm the Public Relations and Communications Lead here at Synergy North. Before we dive into the details of the work being planned, I'd like to introduce you to today's presenters. Joining us today are Mitch Deserta, our Engineering Supervisor of Design and Standards, who will be kicking off things shortly, and Chris Pereira, our Forestry and Operations Supervisor, who will speak more about forestry-related work for this project. Now, I'll pass things over to Mitch, who will get us started with an overview of the project.
Thanks, Leslie. I'll first start with an overview of the project. I'll be walking you through this project as a whole, what to expect, some areas that we've identified where things might be changing. The first slide here is an overall of the extents of the project. It extends from Hammersholt High School along Clarkson up to roughly about Windermere. And then there is a section in behind Red River Road, which is an easement section where our poles are placed in backyards inside easements in those areas. Here we'll talk about a couple parts of our system or infrastructure that you might see in your backyards or on street fronts. So on the left side, you'll see a transformer, pad-mounted transformer in the left picture. Along with on the house, you'll see a meter base where the electrical wires come from the transformers to your house. On the center picture is a picture of a pole. On the top of it, there is a gray can. We call those are the transformers. And then there are the wires on the pole that are up higher. The lower wires, which isn't labeled there, is typically a telephone wire. The picture on the right is of another pole, but it shows some anchors that come down into the ground. So those anchors and wires are used to support the pole where wires stop. And you'll find those along boulevards and in easements. So what to expect when we're in your neighborhood? So the projects usually come in phases. So there'll be a phase where you'll see some of our staff out there marking where the poles are going. So that's part of the pole setting stage. So some of my staff will be there putting markers, stakes in the ground where the new poles and anchors will be going. When we go to set the poles, they'll be excavating a hole, putting the pole in, backfilling around it. In the easement areas, we'll be accessing those locations by crane. So you'll see cranes along the roadways, craning the poles to the backyards. There may be 2 poles left for some time until telephone transfers. So we do all our work. Telephone will remain on the old pole, and then we give them notification transfer. During the project, there can be outages. You'll get notices for the outages, probably by mail and by phone. There will be traffic disruptions, so our crews will be parked on the road. Sometimes they'll have to close the road or close a lane. In those easement areas where we're using a crane, the crane will be set up in the roadway in order to lift the poles into the backyards. And at times, some of the equipment we use is noisy. So there are vac trucks where they use water and a vacuum to vac the holes when we're trying to excavate a pole around other infrastructure like gas, and those can be quite noisy. Our staff will be wearing hearing protection. Please keep distance from those equipment. So I'll hand it off to Chris. He'll talk about the forestry.
Yep, good day. So forestry in a lot of cases will be your first touch point with Synergy North. We will first send out an automated phone message letting you know that we'll be in your area working. At this time, if your latest phone number hasn't been updated with customer service, we urge you to update your recent phone number so we can get in touch with you. Once notices have been sent out, line technicians will go out and determine scope of work for each tree in customers' yards. If you have concerns about a tree, this is the time to call and book a site visit. We can come out and give you the scope of work for the tree on your property and potential options for you. Once scope of work has been determined, we will hand the notes off to a contractor who will then carry out the work. Work can be roadside or can be in people's backyards where we require access with equipment. Scope of work is generally a 3-meter clearing of each side of the line, so that crews can work near the line. And when we do so, we take all clippings with us and rake up the yard before we leave. This slide is important for people that are planting trees. We still see it today that people are planting the wrong tree in the wrong place. The image is quite clear that underneath the line out to about 4 meters, we would prefer that people are planting shrubs or low stature trees so they don't interfere with communications or power lines in the future. Outside of that 4.5-meter range, smaller style trees are preferred. Once the trees open up their canopy, they can take up to 40 or 50 feet in diameter across your yard. So we ask that those large stature trees remain well away from our power line so there's no future conflicts.
So now I'm going to take you through some details on the project. Here we have some statistics on the project. There's a total of 286 customers with 13 commercial services. We're going to installing 55 new poles and reusing 12 of the poles. There's almost 5,000 meters of new overhead wire being installed, 23 new overhead transformers, 5 new pad-mounted transformers, and the total project cost that includes labor, equipment, materials is $2,250,000 in total. Typical design practices. So for overhead and underground projects, we attempt to design and construct them in a like-for-like manner. This would mean that we would keep the equipment such as poles, anchors, transformers, all those type of things as close as possible to the existing location as we can. There are some times where we need to make changes to the system though. So for safety reasons, for clearances to houses, to meet new codes and standards, that we sometimes have to relocate poles, relocate pad-mounted transformers, install new cables and that. But we do try to attempt to be the least disruptive as we can by reusing existing locations. So we try not to change how things connect to homes. So generally where the wire connects to your house, it will stay the same. If there needs to be a change with anything related to your property itself or the connection to your business or home, we will have an individual discussion with you. Same slide as you saw earlier. Here's an overall of the whole project. Just helps refresh here as we go through some detailed changes through the design. Overview of the changes that are going to be highlighted next. So the ones highlighted in orange are going to be where a new pole or anchor or a location where they didn't exist prior. A blue shading will be moving overhead wires to underground or an underground plant replacement, so significant excavation. And then the green highlighting will be a change to existing plant, moving it a little bit, but generally in the same area. So here we have some new pole or anchor or orange changes. So these look like on the left, it's in the easement area along near Mellon. So the top one would be an anchor in a boulevard to maintain clearances into an easement. Down below, there are some other pole relocations that are required where there is a new pole needed. The one on the right, there's some anchors required for some additional wires in the boulevard. On the left, there's going to be a new pole next to the fire station. That's to accommodate some reliability improvements in underground cables. And then on the right, near along Clarkson, as we approach into the easement area, in order to remove some encroachments that were over top of where we didn't have easements, we're adding some extra poles to get the wires in the proper locations. So these are underground work where we will be installing some ductwork and cables underground. So the first one we have is on the left side, south of Red River Road at 801 Red River. We are going to be installing some new ducts from the pole to the building. And then we have just below that on Clarkson, new duct all the way to the existing transformer location. So there will be some excavation in the boulevard, possible directional drilling. And then one below that, we have 33 Clarkson, where there will be new duct installed across the street from the new pole. Oftentimes with the underground cables, you'll see directional drilling where we will open up a pit on either end, and then they will use a machine to drill the duct underground without impacting the driveway as much as would needed to open trench. The picture on the right side, that will be 806 Clarkson. Again, we're reusing some duct across the road, but there will be some new duct alongside the building to the transformer location. This underground portion would be along Stardust Crescent and then across Junot all the way to the fire station. This is a new underground installation to supply reliability or second feed to all the customers and businesses along the easement in the back behind Red River Road. Okay, so we have some pole shift changes. So this one, the pole is moving a little bit over, and then also the pole across the street moving to align with some property lines. Again, along Mellon, there's some pole shift for respanning of the poles. That's due to reducing the span length of the conductors for anchoring purposes. So overall, for the schedule, all the projects typically have the same sequence. In 2024, you may have seen us doing some surveying. We would have been looking at poles, walking around the project. In 2025 here in September, you're going to see some staff staking. I mentioned that earlier. We'll be putting wooden stakes in the ground. They'll be sprayed. They'll say pole or anchor on it. When you see one of those stakes go in and you have some concerns or questions about it, it's best to reach out and ask the question before the crews actually get there to put the infrastructure in. If there is a concern that we can rectify, we'll do it at that time. If you come after, it's much more difficult for us to deal with it then. Again, we'll have forestry looking in August after we stake and before the crews go in. And then the pole setting will happen in November and December of 2025. After that, after the poles go in the ground in 2026, in the wintertime, all the overhead work, you'll see crews stringing wires, putting transformers on poles, and completing the work to convert or rebuild the area.
So when can you expect to hear from us again? Here's a quick look at the upcoming communications you can expect as the project moves forward. First, a forestry mailer. You'll soon receive a letter outlining forestry work in your area. This will let you know that Synergy North is conducting site visits in your neighborhood. You may also receive an individual forestry notice. This is tree work that would directly affect your property, and this notice is specific to you. You will receive this about 2 to 3 weeks in advance by phone or email. Also, a notice of the project. Approximately 3 weeks before construction begins, a formal notice of project will be sent to you via regular letter mail. An obstruction notice may come to some customers where Synergy North identifies something on your property that may block access to our infrastructure, something such as fencing or structures or a shed or any kind of debris. You'll receive this notice by phone or letter mail. If there's a structure that needs to be removed, a member of our engineering team will contact you directly to arrange a site visit and discuss next steps. And lastly, a planned outage notice. For the safety of our crews, planned outages may be required while work is underway. You'll be notified by mail or an automated phone call about 1 week in advance. To make sure you receive all the correct notifications, we encourage you to update your contact information with us, especially if your phone number or mailing address has recently changed. This is especially important for outage notices, so you have enough time to plan and make any unnecessary arrangements in case of temporary service disruption. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our Synergy North customer service team. We're happy to help. Thank you again for taking the time to watch this video. We appreciate your cooperation and understanding as we work to improve the reliability and safety of the electrical system in your community. We look forward to keeping you informed every step of the way. Thank you.